A lot of people want to get into meal prepping, but they're having some troubles on figuring out where to begin, on whether it's the materials that you need to have to get started, or even what to cook, where to find time, how to store everything. A lot of that is a lot of overhead that really isn't that problematic. And I want to talk first about some of the benefits for why you would want to consider getting into meal prepping, whether you're a college student or working a full-time job, or even still in high school. It's really simple to get started, and we're gonna talk about these things first. First off, meal prepping is budget friendly. You have meals set aside, ready to go in your refrigerator at all times, so you don't need to go out on a whim and go get fast food, because fast food is more expensive than you think it is. Because you buy food in bulk, you typically get discounts on purchasing several of an item, as opposed to purchasing just one of them at a time every other week. Meal prepping saves time. A lot of people can benefit from having the additional time added to their day. All you have to do is block off a good hour to 3 hours on one day of the week, prepare all your food, do all your shopping on one day of the week, and then for the entire next week, in my case, or for some people, 2 weeks at a time, they can have all their meals ready to go and just go into the fridge, grab it, heat it up, eat it, and then be on their way. Meal prepping also gives you the opportunity to eat a much healthier diet. This is because if you do your research ahead of time and figure out your body's personal nutritional demands, the number of nutrients you need, carbohydrates, proteins, and limiting the fats, you go out and shop to meet those demands, and then you prepare a whole week's worth of meals ahead of time, once out of the week. Then you won't even think twice about snacking or going out and buying those fatty foods on a whim, because you already have meals prepared for you. It's like you're your own personal chef. So to get started with this tutorial, this guide is going to assume that you have access to a kitchen and basic kitchen utensils, nothing more. That's all you need to get started. And so that being said, what you have to get first is something to hold your meals in. These are any kind of Tupperware meal prep containers. There are a lot of specialty meal prep design specific containers that you can find online on Amazon, and the best thing is that these are cheap. I personally have a set of meal prep containers. I bought a set of 21 containers. That's enough to store 3 weeks worth of meals. 21 containers for about $12 to $13. That's how cheap it is to get started. So the first thing that you need to do is make sure that you have some sort of container for your meals ready to go. And I don't recommend starting big either. Start with something small, maybe start with 2 to 3, maybe 4 containers just to get started with meal prepping so you can get into the flow. I'll leave some links in the description so you can get started researching that. It's very easy. The second part of this guide isn't required, but I highly recommend it. Your body, your personal body, you out of the 7 or so billion people on planet Earth have a very unique nutritional demand. And this is just carbs, proteins, and fats. It's very easy to figure out what your body actually requires. It's based off of your body weight for the most part, and you just need to figure out the number of grams of protein, grams of carbs, grams of fat that you require on a daily basis. It's a lot of simple math. It only takes about 20 minutes to do, but when you do that, you can figure out your body's nutritional demands and shop to meet those demands, and you'll be able to live a much healthier life during your meal prep. And lastly, the next thing you need to get started is your food preferences. You might have dietary restrictions. You might have to eat gluten-free. You might be pescatarian or vegetarian. You want to take this into account as you do your meal planning ahead of time. The last thing I want to recommend before getting started is investing in a food scale. This will help you tremendously as you get started with meal prepping. And this is because when you do the math to figure out your body's nutritional requirements in terms of grams of protein or grams of carbohydrates, you can figure out exactly how much of a serving of a particular type of food that you need when you serve yourself in your meal prepping. This is because a lot of foods such as fish, chicken, meat, vegetables, rice, bread, these foods aren't all carbohydrates. They're not all proteins. They're combined carbohydrates and proteins. So 10 grams of bread might be a lot of carbs, but also a little bit of proteins. So if you're going to eat something, let's say you want fish for protein, 100 grams of fish is not 100 grams of protein. So you want to measure out how much fish does it take to meet your protein requirement. If you had to take, for example, 150 grams of protein per day, and a particular type of fish was worth about 30 grams of protein. Although one serving of that fish is 100 grams, you need to have 500 grams of fish to meet that 150 grams of protein daily requirement. Now that you have the knowledge and the materials ready to begin meal prepping, the first thing that you have to do is go out and buy the foods that will help you meet your nutritional requirements. It's very easy, and I want to recommend a video right here that'll help you do efficient grocery shopping through online grocery shopping and pickup methods. While you're shopping, make sure that you're buying foods that are on par with your culinary skills. It doesn't make any sense to go out and buy a lot of expensive, fancy foods that will meet your nutritional requirements, but you have no idea how to cook it. If you don't know how to cook it, you'll mess up, you won't want to eat the foods. It's a bad experience. Don't start that way. Do something very simple. For me, I start with a lot of fish, vegetables, and sweet potatoes. These foods are extremely easy and fast to cook, and it's very quick to generate a lot of meals, a week's worth of meals as a matter of fact, in a short amount of time. And I'll show a little bit about that later on in the video. Also, if you don't have them already, I recommend large cooking wares. These are large skillets, large pots and pans that you can use to cook food. It'll help the process by allowing you to cook a lot more food faster. It's not a requirement, but it certainly does help in the long run. Consider from now on that you only have to go out and shop one time every week or every 2 weeks to buy all the foods that you know that you want to eat, and then you spend a little bit of time out of your entire week to prepare that food. Less than 1% of your week goes into preparing food that will feed you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for an entire week. It's literally becoming your own personal chef. And now you have foods ready to go. All you have to do is take the meal out of the refrigerator, pop it in the microwave, and enjoy. And you'll have absolutely no remorse for eating those unhealthy foods and spending the extra money just to get a meal when you're hungry, because you already have them ready to go. And that's all there is to it for meal prepping. Hopefully I've been able to inspire one of you out there to consider making a small change in your life so that you can start saving time throughout your week or begin living a healthier lifestyle. If you have questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Leave a like if this video helped you out at all, and I'll see you on the next one. I've got to go do some cooking.